Welcome to the Journal Editorial Report. I'm Paul Gigot. The Republican presidential candidates squared off this week in their third debate of the 2016 campaign. And while Donald Trump and Ben Carson took center stage in Boulder, Colorado Wednesday, it was some of the other candidates who managed to steal the spotlight.
She spent over a week telling the families of those victims and the American people that it was because of a video. And yet the mainstream media is going around saying it was the greatest week in Hillary Clinton's campaign. It was the week she got exposed as a liar. It was the week that she got exposed as a liar.
Wait a second. We have $19 trillion in debt. We have people out of work. We have ISIS and Al-Qaeda attacking us. And we're talking about fantasy football? Can we stop?
You look at the questions. Donald Trump, are you a comic book villain? Ben Carson, can you do math? John Kasich, will you insult two people over here? Marco Rubio, why don't you resign? Jeb Bush, why have your numbers fallen? How about talking about the substantive issues people care about?
Joining the panel this week, Wall Street Journal columnist and deputy editor Dan Henninger, columnist Mary Anastasia O'Grady, and assistant editorial page editor James Freeman, and Washington columnist Kim Strassel. So, Kim, I think this debate showed that the Republican contest is volatile. Nobody's going to march from front to the back as the front runner. There are a lot of people who potentially could break through and get the nomination. Who do you think broke through this week?
Well, look, we're past the introduction stage at this point, and voters are looking for more substance. And so you did see some of these Republican insiders. Remember, this is all supposed to be about the outsiders, but instead the people who shone were people like Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio.
The experienced politicians.
Yes, people who have done this for a while. And I think the reason that they did is because they probably have a pretty good understanding of what voters want and need. They want someone who's going to be an effective advocate for them, someone who's going to go after Democrats, and that's what these people were presenting up on stage.
So, Mary, who did you think stood out in your mind?
Well, obviously, Marco Rubio did very well, but I don't think he presented a lot of substance. I think that Chris Christie was the one who actually talked more specifically about Social Security and about attacking the problem of Social Security. And so I think that in terms of substance, he was the best. And of course,
is he breaking through on that? Do you think that impresses people, or is it his manner? You know, the sort of look. You want somebody to take on Hillary Clinton? Look at me. Well, I'm the guy who can do it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a former prosecutor, so he can think on his feet. He's articulate. I think he's going to have a problem because of the fact that he is from a blue state and he hasn't really been conservative on a lot of issues. And one of the things that could get him in trouble from the other night was his comments on solar power, because he said that, you know, this is something that's a private sector initiative, but in fact the state of New Jersey has been subsidizing solar power, and that's going to catch up with him, I'm afraid.
The conservatives don't necessarily trust him on the base. On the other hand, he's such a good performer. What about Marco Rubio, Dan?
Let's talk for a second about Hillary Clinton. We watched her in her debate a week or so ago, and you know what? She was really good. And you're going to have to need a candidate who can stand on a stage and debate Hillary Clinton. And you need somebody who is in the big leagues of politics. Those three clips we showed of Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, and Chris Christie showed three politicians who can punch it out in different ways, different styles. But they are all able to talk about the issues on the table in a way that they can connect to people listening.
Yet debating well doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be
these debates. These aren't debates. These are presentation exercises. Who can present ideas the easiest and the best and the most coherently? They don't really debate with one another.
So what impresses you, James, about Marco Rubio? Why do you think he is? I mean, universally people are saying he did well. Why?
Well, I think we've seen before he's articulate and a compelling speaker. I think what you also saw in this debate was the preparation. So that suggests that he can manage at least a small staff and effectively task out ideas. I mean, I assume he's not the one researching each particular issue. So I think what you saw is it suggests a very good organization building up behind him. But I like a kid soccer coach, I would give everyone a medal except for Jeb Bush and the CNBC moderators, because I thought
he grades on a curve.
Yeah, I thought what you saw is a very impressive, articulate group, and often, despite the moderators trying to talk substance.
Well, I think that actually what these guys understand is that the viewers come away with a feeling about who the person is more than specifics about any individual policy. And Marco Rubio comes off as a happy warrior. Now he made a joke about his book and how it's on sale as a paperback edition. He made a reference to his mother and how he's against anything that harms his mother. And I think that gave people kind of a lightness about him and a positive feeling about him, as opposed to some of the other candidates who are more like scolds.
Kim, why is Ted Cruz somebody to watch here, not just based on the debate performance, but going forward?
Watch Ted Cruz, because Ted Cruz is being very shrewd in his strategy out there. He's deliberately contrasting himself in a subtle way with the Rubios, the happy warrior thing. He is trying to channel conservative anger, and he's being very specific in trying to tag evangelical voters, Tea Party voters. He feels those people are very much up for grab, and that's why you see him rising in the polls. And you may end up in the end with a race that pits a Cruz against more of a Rubio-type candidate who is more of the kind of big tent person.
Exactly. And I think what we're seeing is that Rubio and Cruz seem to be the two candidates there that have a plan going forward. They have an idea of who they want to appeal to and how they want to do it. And you can see them heading towards those primaries in a way that's going to allow those two to rise from the rest of the pack, I think.
Still a long way to go, though. All right.